There are days when the heart feels heavy, and the soul seems to cry out silently for help. It's as if the world around you keeps spinning, but inside, everything feels stuck, suffocated, tight. The mind won't stop. Thoughts race like turbulent waves, and peace feels like a distant dream. In moments like these, even breathing hurts. But amid this silent chaos, a gentle voice whispers, "My child, I am here. You are not alone." That pain did not go unnoticed. God saw the tear you hid, heard the scream you silenced, and even when everything feels out of control, He is still holding you. Breathe, calm your heart, because God is still in control. The Bible reminds us with tenderness and power that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. This is not just a beautiful phrase, it's a promise, a direct reminder from heaven that when everything inside us feels like it's falling apart, God draws even nearer. He does not turn away from suffering. On the contrary, He moves toward it. If your heart is in pieces today, know this: that's exactly where He most desires to be. In the middle of your pain, your confusion, your exhaustion, the Lord makes Himself present. You may not feel Him, but He is there, caring, welcoming, restoring. This verse is like a hug from God in the form of words. When we go through tough moments, a loss, a family crisis, a silent inner battle, it's common to feel like no one truly understands us. Sometimes not even those closest to us can grasp the depth of our pain. That's when this verse becomes more than words. It becomes relief for the soul. Knowing that God is near when our hearts are shattered changes everything. He doesn't demand that we be strong. He doesn't expect us to have all the answers. The brokenness that the world tends to avoid actually draws the presence of the Lord. He comes close with grace, not judgment. That gives us permission to be vulnerable before Him, to cry, to pour our hearts out in prayer, to let our pain be seen, because it's in that honest place that He brings healing. There is a sacred mystery in a broken heart. It's as if pain, which we try so hard to avoid, opens a doorway through which God enters more tenderly. He doesn't manifest Himself most powerfully in pride, excessive strength, or the appearance of control, but in brokenness. When we feel weak, shattered inside, without masks, that's where God chooses to dwell. A broken heart is not an empty space but an altar. It's in that surrendered state, when all we have left is our need for Him, that we experience the depth of His love. God does not reject those who come to Him like this. On the contrary, it is in this very state that He comes closest, like a father holding a crying child in His arms. Brokenness is, in truth, a sacred bridge, the place where the human meets the divine in the most real and transformative way. There are times when our hearts are so silent that even our faith feels distant. We pray, but feel nothing. We read the Word, but it seems to say nothing. We cry, and heaven seems silent. But it's precisely in these moments that the truth must carry us. God is not absent just because our emotions can't feel Him. God's presence is not dependent on our sensitivity, but on His faithfulness. He promised to be with us every day, including the dark days, the lukewarm days, the apathetic days. God is not like fleeting emotions. He remains. And often, He is closer in those empty moments than when everything feels full. He sustains us in silence. He protects us when we're unaware. He surrounds us with care even when life feels ordinary. The absence of feeling is not the absence of presence, and it is through trust, not emotion, that faith matures. Life presents us with challenges that sometimes wear down our faith. Closed doors, unanswered prayers, repetitive and tiring days. All of this eats away at our hope. But it's in this very scenario that God's promises become even more valuable. He is not a man that He should lie, nor a human that He should change His mind. Numbers 23:19. When we trust in His promises, we find a thread of light even in the longest nights. Hope is not naivety, it's resilience. It's believing that even though today hurts, tomorrow is in the hands of a faithful God. He promised to be with us, promised comfort, guidance, deliverance, and victory. And every promise he made, he fulfills. Trusting in his promises is looking upward when the ground disappears. It's moving forward without understanding, knowing that a word has been spoken from heaven over our lives, and that word never returns empty. God's silence is one of faith's greatest tests. There are moments when we cry out, weep, wait, and all we receive is silence. No direction, no sign, no visible answer. And during this interval, the enemy tries to sow doubt, whispering that we've been forgotten. But the truth is, God's silence never means absence. On the contrary, often it's in silence that he works most deeply. It's when he shapes our character, aligns our will to his, and prepares the ground for something greater. Remember that Jesus remained silent before Pilate, but his mission was still being fulfilled. Heaven may seem silent, but it is not inactive. God is organizing the unseen, connecting paths, maturing our hearts. His silence is an invitation to full trust, an opportunity to deepen our faith. Because even without words, the Father is still present, and at the right time, silence will become testimony. There are pains we simply can't explain. They crush the soul, squeeze the chest, and make us question whether we can go on. In moments like these, words from others don't help, advice doesn't comfort, and human resources fail. But there is one place where we always find strength: the arms of God. He is not indifferent to our pain. On the contrary, the Bible says he is the God of all comfort. He knows every tear, every anguished thought, every hidden sigh in the silence of night. When pain breaks us inside, God doesn't just observe. He carries us. Like a father holding a tired child in his arms, he sustains us even when we think we won't make it. His grace lifts us, his love surrounds us, and his presence restores us. No matter how deep the abyss of pain, God is always deeper than it. And in due time, pain will give way to purpose. Because in the hands of the Father, even suffering has meaning. True faith is not proven in easy days, but in the dark nights of the soul, when everything seems lost and answers don't come. It's in these battles that we discover the power of unshakable faith, not because we don't feel fear, but because we choose to trust even in the chaos. The faith that sustains is the one that helps us continue even without understanding, that keeps us standing when our strength is gone, and that reminds us we are not alone on the battlefield. The Word assures us, "The righteous shall live by faith," Hebrews 10:38. And it's this faith that connects us to the invisible hand of God, which works where eyes cannot see. Faith doesn't eliminate the valley, but guarantees the shepherd's presence as we walk through it. And when faith is our guide, battles stop being threats and become opportunities to see God's glory manifest. No matter the size of the giant, when you have faith, heaven fights for you. There are times when the weight of life feels crushing. The body is exhausted, the mind overwhelmed, and the heart tired of fighting. In moments like these, what we most long for is relief, a safe place, a healing embrace. And it's exactly there that God reveals himself as an inexhaustible source of renewal. He does not despise the exhaustion of his children. On the contrary, he calls us, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. The Lord knows how hard it has been, the sleepless nights, the silent tears, the days when smiling was an effort. But he promises those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. It's not about having constant energy, but knowing where to find rest, and that rest is in God. When you feel at your limit, remember, God specializes in restoring tired hearts. He takes you by the hand, lifts you up, and breathes new life into your soul. There are days when everything seems to fall apart. Frustrated plans, unexpected news, closed doors, and a silence that hurts. In those moments, the heart asks, "Where is God?" Pain tries to convince us that he has forgotten. But the truth is that even in chaos, God remains sovereign. Control has never left his hands. He knows the end from the beginning. It is written, We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28. This doesn't mean everything will be easy, but that even the hardest situations are not in vain. God turns tears into seeds of victory, and paths of pain into roads of purpose. Job lost everything, but declared, "I know that my Redeemer lives." Job 19:25. You may not understand now, but trust. God is working in silence, aligning heaven in your favor. When everything seems to go wrong, close your eyes and say with faith, "Lord, I know you are in control." Because he is, and he never fails. Amid the rush of life, the daily challenges and the silences that feel eternal, the heart may whisper, painful lies, "God has forgotten me." But the truth is, the Father never forgets his children. It is written in Isaiah 49:15, "Can a mother forget the baby at her breast? Though she may forget, I will not forget you." That is the promise of a God who gathers every tear, knows every thought, and stays by our side even when everyone else leaves. Sometimes, heaven feels silent, but it is not indifference, it is preparation. He is shaping the invisible, writing chapters your eyes have not yet seen. When you feel alone, remember, God's love is constant even in seasons when you can't feel it. He has not abandoned you, not even for a second. He sees you, hears you, and loves you with everlasting love. Wait in faith. God's timing never fails, and he never forgets those who trust in him. Many times we try to walk in our own strength. We carry emotional burdens, heavy responsibilities, and internal battles without realizing we were never meant to bear everything alone. That's why the word reminds us, "The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation." Exodus 15:2. When human strength runs out, that's when divine strength shows up most powerfully. God doesn't expect you to be invincible, just to trust him. Even when the body is tired, the soul can be renewed by the presence of the Most High. He strengthens the weak, lifts the fallen, and breathes new life into those who once thought of giving up. True strength is not denying pain, but seeking God in the midst of it. And it's in the silence of prayer, in the intimacy of the secret place, that he whispers, "I am with you. Do not fear. I am your strength. Trust. You are not alone, and the strength that comes from heaven is enough to carry you today, tomorrow, and always." We live in a world that constantly pushes us toward more achievements, more possessions, more recognition. But the word teaches us that true peace is not found in having everything, but in being content with what God has already given. In Philippians 4:11, the Apostle Paul declares, "I have learned to be content in whatever the circumstances." This is not complacency, it's spiritual wisdom. It's understanding that even in hard seasons, God remains good. Contentment is born when we take our eyes off what we lack and start seeing the abundance of what we already have. Health, life, love, faith, hope. It's being thankful for today's bread without anxiety over tomorrow's. When the heart learns to rest in God's sufficiency, comparison ends, envy disappears, and peace blossoms. May you be able to say today, "Lord, thank you for what I have. I trust that what hasn't come yet will arrive at the right time." This is the secret to a light soul, full of gratitude. Generosity is one of the greatest marks of someone who walks with God. It's not just about giving material things, but having a heart willing to share, help, and serve with joy. Jesus himself said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Acts 20:35. When we open our hands, we also open our hearts. And when we bless someone, we are equally blessed. Generosity breaks selfishness, strengthens bonds, and brings us closer to Christ's purpose. A generous heart is sensitive to others' pain, attentive to surrounding needs, and ready to act in love. And the most beautiful part is that God never forgets the seeds we plant in others. Sometimes we think we're losing when we give, but in truth, we are building eternal treasure. Today, may your prayer be, "Lord, make me a channel of your goodness. May I have open hands and a willing heart to love and serve." Because in God's kingdom, the more we give, the more we overflow.